Good morning. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Associated Guess. I'm your host, Alfie Animus, here at the Bear in Mind Network. Today, ShoeOnHead has an interesting new video. Oh boy. The media runs defense for Ghost of Yotei. And if we have time, maybe one of my favorite sections of an old school classic RayGun Recap from Chris RayGun. But I love ShoeOnHead's videos. Let's get through it. Or let's get to it.
Oh, I didn't see you there. What am I reading, you ask? Well, just one of the best-selling books on Amazon right now. With millions of sales and almost 20,000 five-star reviews, this book has been absolutely blowing up, especially on TikTok, or Book Talk, as the kids call it. Thousands and thousands of women, in particular, have been raving about this piece of literature. What piece of literature is it, you may ask? Well, Morning Glory Milking Farm, of course. A popular romance...
Yeah. It's very popular. I've seen a lot of people talking about it, including Miss Vera Dark over here, but my God.
Novel about a young woman down on her luck who does what every young woman does when facing financial struggle. She starts an OnlyFans. No, I'm just kidding. She wouldn't degrade herself like that.
No.
She gets a job jerking off monsters.
That's right. The Morning Glory Milking Farm.
I have been reading Morning Glory Milking Farm since last night, and I'm obsessed.
This was a good time.
Notice a pattern with these people. Yeah, they're utterly similar.
It did not disappoint.
If this book is trash,
Oh,
then
I
I am
stand
a
corrected.
fucking raccoon. Give me all of the garbage.
Get your eyeballs
Give
on
me
this
all
because
the
it is so
garbage.
good.
What's up with those teeth?
I regret to inform you that there is a new epidemic. An epidemic that many have yet to discuss. And that epidemic is female gooners. Now, for those of you unaware,
It does baffle me, and I'm sure she'll mention this as much as, and I'm sure these women in particular give guys all kinds of shit for watching any kind of, I'm on YouTube, we'll say corn, prawn, whatever you want to call it, but just because they read it and they imagine the ox, it's classy, I guess. I mean, if you turn on Beethoven in the background while you're reading it, that's one of those times I'd rather see the movie. I'm just saying. The book's usually better. I'd rather see the movie.
gooner is internet slang for someone addicted to porn. And smut is slang for dark romance novels, otherwise known as porn. Many correct about the dangers of porn addiction with men, how it can destroy their lives and their relationships, and most men know the material they consume is weird. That is why they are ashamed of it. That is why they delete their browser history. That is why they go incognito mode. But these bitches freaks out here. They display their smut openly in bookstores. They proudly pose in front of their smut collections.
Yeah.
They discuss their smut openly on TikTok. They go to smut conventions.
Well, and that's the thing. But they used to have, crafty names or some Fabio-esque person on the front cover, so you could pretend that it was classy. But this one that's got Monster Milkers as the title. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could find a porn video with the same name. Anyway, but it would mean just giant instead of actual monsters.
And get choked out by 9-foot-tall shirtless Wendigos. Now, I know what you are thinking. Shoo, isn't this the pot calling the kettle degenerate? Yes. Yes, it is. But have you considered it takes one to truly know one? You see, women are strange, fascinating creatures. For centuries, men have tried to figure us out. Our mood is affected by the tides and the moon. We bleed for 5 days and don't die. By painting my face, I can instantly shapeshift from a 4 to a 6. We are truly mysterious, magical creatures. But one of the most mysterious aspects of women to men is our sexuality. You see, us women are not like those disgusting moids. No, we are sophisticated. We are evolved. We don't watch
those girls
videos
look
of
really
strangers
sophisticated.
slapping their sweaty bodies together. No, we read about strangers slapping their sweaty bodies together.
Yeah.
It's different, okay? You don't understand. It's okay when we do it. So, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the rapidly growing popularity of dark romance on TikTok and the recent dark romance convention that ended in disaster. Let's take a break from all this depressing
ended in
political
disaster?
news and talk about something silly. Not that those political things aren't important, trust me, they are. You should be keeping up with politics and the news when you can. I know it can be difficult to do, but fear not. I have an app for that. So before we get into this video, let's quickly give a shout out to our sponsor, Ground News. Ground News is a website and an app that gives pretty
Okay. You should use Ground News. Everything she said during that thing I skipped is true. So please follow ShoeOnHead. Click on her Ground News ad. It is a really, really great site. Yeah. If you care about the news and care about who's lying to you or who's leaving what out, Ground News is definitely the right place to go. Go support ShoeOnHead and support her through clicking on her ad for Ground News. Moving on.
cool. Rare Newsom W. 12 news sources covered this, 7 were left-wing, and 0 were right.
Oh God, we're still in the middle of it.
As the shutdown continues, a checked-out Trump posts a plan I use
right
to
there.
access all
Click on
their amazing
that.
features, and it's only $5 a month, which is like basically the price of a coffee
use
nowadays.
your phone for
so
the-
go to
for the QR code.
ground.news/shoe or use the QR code here on screen, or use the link in the video description.
her being one of
so
those
thank you
obnoxious
to Ground News for sponsoring this video, and thank
TikTokers.
you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad.
No, I didn't.
Right. So
Not
let's
the first
get
time I
back
watched
to
it,
the
at
video.
least. I did this time.
Book Talk is a very interesting place, and any book
scary,
fans out
man.
there know how it has absolutely destroyed the hobby of literature and just flooded it with absolute slop. Spicy slop. You see, books on TikTok are not rated by how well they are written or how good the characters are. No, they are rated by the spice. And what does spice mean? Porn.
Ah,
It means porn.
Of course it
Spice
does.
level is very important to book talkers. How much spice does a book have? What are the spiciest books they have ever read? How spicy is the book they're currently reading? Spice, spice, spice. The spiciest book going viral on Book Talk lately is none other than Morning Glory Milking Farm by C.M. Nascosta. Violet is a typical
if I can get 10 subscribers, paid subscribers on Kick and Twitch, I will buy this book and review it online. If I can get that, if I can get 10 by Thanksgiving, we'll say. No. Yes, 10 by Thanksgiving, because I only have a couple each right now. So if I can get 10 by Thanksgiving on both platforms, I will, in fact, I'll buy this book and review it.
down on her luck millennial, mid-20s, overeducated, and drowning in debt. Oh my god! She's just like me! On the verge of moving into her parents' basement, when a lifeline appears in the form of a very unconventional job in the neighboring Cambric Creek. She has no choice but to grab it with both hands. Morning Glory
My
Farm
God.
offers full-time hours, full benefits, and generous pay with no experience needed.
Okay. Also, if I can get 100 on each by... You know what? If I can get 100 on each by Valentine's Day, I will not only read this book, but I will write a fan fiction. Because this sounds like some gooner shit. Like, it really does. Like, it's if you found out a guy wrote or read this, I mean, you'd be like, he lives in his parents' basement.
There's only one catch. The clientele is grade A certified prime beef
My God.
with the manly, meaty endowments to... Okay.
Morning Glory Milking Farm is actually a profound critique of late-stage capitalism and toxic masculinity. In this text, we see that the tingling sensation in her coochie is actually the tingling sensation of a Marxist revolution.
Fuck off.
This is every fucking BreadTube video to me, dude. This is every Jack Saint video. So,
And there's people who actually see this. There's like, it's not smut, okay? It actually represents communist Russia or some shit. Oh my god, they're trying to make this into Animal Farm.
oh, I actually read the book myself, and I'm not gonna lie. The 19th Amendment needs to be abolished. So, like I said, the story is basically this millennial named Violet, and she gets a job basically working at Big Pharma in Narnia, where they harvest Minotaur milk to make Viagra for human males.
I'll get the cereal. My god.
And I read the whole thing. Probably gonna be put
bet.
on some kind of watch list. But listen, this is my job, okay? I'm not out here like selling feet pics or something. What I do is far more dignified and normal. Now let's take a look at some of these notes I wrote. Let's see. Big dick and balls. At one point she says the term, and I quote,
Yeah, put on your glasses, dude. That'll make this feel better.
the seam of his sack. So I'm reading this, and the whole time I'm thinking, like, okay, he probably has, like, a human head, right? He probably, like, looks something like this, like, you know, just a dude with, like, horns. Then I see the official artwork. That's a cow.
Yeah.
Bro is a cow. Bro is a straight-up cow. In a few parts, they're being intimate, and it will be
He's
like...
a brovine.
His hooves clopped. My hooves will tear up your sheets. And it's like... I'm sorry, his what?
He's got
At one point,
hooves?
she describes kissing him. And I swear to God, it was more disgusting than anything else described in this book. She's like describing how big and wide his mouth is and how big and like slimy his tongue is. She's like describing this shit and you're just like, that's a cow. I mean, we are at a solid 5.5 on the Barbeau scale here.
Yeah.
This is dangerous territory, folks. She also f***ers his ass.
The fuck?
She f***ers the cow's ass. By
He's
the way,
like
if you
9
want
feet
an
tall.
uncensored version of this video and all my videos, Patreon. Go to Patreon, become a member. All members get the uncensored version of every video, so you can hear me talking about s***ing and
Like the cow's like 9 feet tall from what I've seen. Like she's got to put her fingers up like the chick from the Hunger Games and shit.
f***ing and f***ing a cow's ass. Is that what you freaks want? Anyway, I like how in this fantasy world student loans
I mean,
still
I kinda
exist.
do now.
Like we can imagine a
gonna lie.
world with minotaurs and humans in a relationship, but we can't imagine a world without student loans. Sad. Oh, and he has one of those
Yeah.
bull rings, like the nose ring theory septum rings.
Yeah.
And in this world, that means like you're married, but apparently he's divorced. The man is divorced. This is a divorced cow with a cow ex-wife. The lore is deep, folks. The funniest part, though, has to be when they go on a date. I need to just read this to you. When the bill arrived, she attempted to pull a handful of carefully folded bills from her wristlet before he stopped her. No, that's absolutely not happening.
put a
Put
feed
that
bag
away.
on him.
She'd not thought about it until the day after their first dinner together, realizing that in mortification that she ought to have attempted to pay her half. What kind of feminist are you?
You're gonna bring feminism into this? Have you ever noticed how a lot of feminists support smut novels like this that aren't particularly feminist? About being dominated and such, mostly by men, sometimes by women. It's, huh? How do I... Shut up.
She asked herself. She couldn't remember the last time she'd been out and hadn't paid for her half, including her coffee date with Carson Tinsley. She had come prepared that night, several weeks of her tips smoothed and tucked into her wristlet. But I didn't even offer to pay half the other night and shouldn't have Violet, if the commanding rumble of his voice hadn't silenced her. The heat of his hand dropping to her knee would've. I don't want you to feel that you don't have any agency here. I might be the one giving all the orders, but you hold all the cards.
Oh
Your
my
comfort
God.
is the only thing that counts right now. And if I overstep, I want you to know you can tell me so. But that's not happening. Don't think I'm unaware we're at different points in our careers. You can say no, you can say you don't want to see me again, you can tell me to stop coming to the farm when you're working.
Don't say coming.
It's dinner, not a down payment of your time. But I'm in a position to comfortably spoil someone. So when you're with me, I'm spoiling you. End of story. She was
Oh,
she was
my
a good
God.
feminist, she told herself, and she definitely couldn't be bought. But if he had suggested at that moment that he would have appreciated a blowjob, she would have fallen face first on his cock with an open mouth without a shred of hesitation. Inside every woman,
What?
there are two wolves. Or two bowls. The strong, independent girl boss and the submissive, doting housewife. And in the presence of a masculine man, or a farm animal, she
What
will
the
fold
fuck,
like a
man?
lawn chair and instantly return to factory settings.
It's dinner, not a down payment for your time. But I'm in a position to comfortably spoil someone, so when you're with me, I'm spoiling you. End of story.
She looks like she's spoiling before our eyes.
I said, okay, I highlighted that paragraph for myself.
Clean up aisle 5. So that's what I
Ugh. She looked like one of my old friend's ex-wives. Ugh.
thought of it. But what did other people think of it? What are the reviews on this book? This book has
man.
a 4.1 on Amazon with 21,000 ratings and a 3.6 on Goodreads with nearly 60,000 ratings.
What the
Let's
fuck,
just
man?
read some random ones
You know what? That many sold. I'm writing a smut novel under a pseudonym.
here.
I'll
me
write
out.
it under my
Hear
sister's
me out.
name.
A milking good time. Sweet and creamy.
The
The
fuck?
spice is spicing. I was very leery of starting this because I thought it was just going to be porn. The plot is pretty
It
good.
is.
The plot? Please. This is like the new I read Playboy for the articles. Like, sure you do. This
Yeah.
book could kill a Victorian child. 5 stars. I'll never look at a jug
The 1-star reviews.
of milk the same.
I bet
think
you
I'm
won't.
lactose intolerant now.
There you go.
So that happened. Our eyes will never see the gates of heaven.
Nope.
1 star, not a helpful guide. This book failed to teach me how to milk a cow, and now my family has no food for the winter. 1 star, accidentally ordered while on pain medication after an operation. Gave this to my mom as a joke gift for Christmas.
The fuck?
You what? Lesai. Why can't
Look, I used to torture my parents all the time. It's fun. I took them to see like Freddy Got Fingered and a bunch of gross out comedies from the late 90s and early 2000s. It was hilarious, especially since once I convinced them that they paid for this and they have to stay. Even though people get refunds from movies all the time, they bought it. And then they bought it. So, but don't give your parents shit like this. That's what you do for your aunts and uncles.
Can't human males be more like this? Tall, rich, and handsome are no longer enough, boys. Now you have to be a 9-foot tall creature from Greek mythology with a 13-inch dick. I never want to hear from another person about how they read 100 books in a year if this is the kind of slop they are consuming.
Thank
well,
you.
Ronald, man detected, this isn't for you. This is for women. So take your ass back to Barely Legal Babysitter 5 or whatever the f you watch that is so morally superior than this. Let him who is without sin cast the first stone, okay? God bless
Cast the
America.
first
It's
load.
great to live in a country where I can casually enjoy cozy erotica about a young woman who milks her way to financial security and true love with a minotaur. This is what freedom looks like, and I intend to fully enjoy it before the Supreme Court takes this right away next. If this is what freedom looks like, I'm really rethinking my stance on freedom, not gonna lie. Maybe we should have less of it. All I know is if Donald Trump takes the
just
monster
1%
porn,
less.
we are going to make 2020 look like a picnic, okay? Bullcock matters. Oh my god. Edit that out. Editor, edit that out.
Don't.
Women are gonna be picking up Animal Farm now, like,
The editor put no on the
where's
screen.
the horse cock? Some of you people owe a certain streamer an apology because this book has way too many 5 stars. Some of you are lying. So after buying this book, Amazon has given me a few interesting recommendations.
Oh
Would you
boy.
like to see
Here we
them?
go.
I accidentally summoned a demon boyfriend. That time I got drunk and saved a demon.
What the fuck?
Gentling the beast. Cupcakes for my orc enemy. Mane
What?
of my existence. The gargoyle and the spinster.
No.
The widow and the orcs.
Huh? That's gonna be. Is this like an orc Dutch rudder? What am I looking at here? I have to
Hoarded
go.
by the dragon. There's something about dragons.
What the fuck? He's got a full-on dragon snout. Why?
getting it on with gargoyles, gotten by the gator, mated to the mountain bear.
Okay, I'll do these for every 100 subscribers I get on either platform. I'll do one every time I get to the next 100 until I get to 1,000.
Oh, so this is why
what I'm saying is I'll probably never read any of
the
these.
billionaire orc, moth manager, wolves and whipped cream, the wolf in my tavern.
Hold on.
This is why they chose the bear. The billionaire orc, moth manager, wolves and...
Look at this. Stop putting yourself in these situations. This is like I'm not Star Sapphire. No one wants to read about some fat girl, especially getting banged by a pack of wolves. Wolfmen. Sorry, I don't want to seem racist.
whipped cream, the wolf in my tavern.
That's not a tavern.
Pounded by produce. Oh,
A veggie love tale?
Are these the books the Nazis burned? Are these the books the Nazis burned? What? Are they...
Why?
Wolves and whipped cream. The wolf in my tavern.
Pounded by produce by GM Fairy. A veggie love story. For those of you just listening, there's just it's the front cover is a picture of a cucumber and 2 tomatoes still on the vine, placed very questionably. Sometimes I think a nuke is just a way out.
By produce. Oh, what? Are these the books the Nazis burned?
My husband only reads finance and sci-fi books, and so I think it's about time that I introduce him to some real literature. So the first book that I would like to introduce you to is called Morning Glory Milking Farm, and it's not a normal milking farm like the cows.
No
what it
shit.
is it's big, bulky minotaurs, and it's a special type of milking.
I mean, I'm sure he knows.
See, honey, she's his stepsister, and she got stuck in the...
If you have to explain to him what it is, you're neglecting your husband, okay? You should... If you're not already doing the things that are described in this book to and for your husband and trying to get him to do some of the things for you, maybe even putting on a Minotaur mask, I don't know. Just get... Why are you married? Why are you married? Are you just married so you have someone to talk to these stupid things that you do about? Is that what it is? Because some guys would be open to that, but it's not the ones that you usually go after.
The washing machine again. Women on TikTok are openly, proudly talking about the porn they consume and getting mad at people when they make fun of it. I hereby ban men from reacting to romantasy on TikTok. Best-selling romantasy books like A Court of Thorns and Roses and
a bastion of literary achievement if there ever was one.
Fourth Wing contain descriptions of hot sex. I feel like that's common knowledge, if not their primary purposes. But in recent months, book talk has become full of men clutching their pearls while reacting to steamy scenes from these popular female-centered books. Obviously, this is all
ironic, isn't it?
A massive performance. We live in the age of OnlyFans. The odds are that these men have seen actual porn that defies the laws of physics and God. Over 90% of
the reason that most of the guys are freaking out, some of them are just assholes that don't want women to have any fun. Yes, those guys exist. But for the most part, they're getting on to you because mostly women like the ones that wrote this article have been getting on to dudes for decades about porn. Sorry, prawn. Get the words right there. But decades. And then they're just like, oh, I'm sophisticated because I read about these acts instead of watching them take place.
Men between the ages 16 and 73 watch porn in any random month. There's statistically no way all of these guys are shocked by the sex itself. What they are gawking at is sex from the perspective of female desire. Scenes that depict...
Because it completely contradicts what you claim to want and strive for in real life. 9 out of 10 times.
Picked women coming first and frequently. And what they are surprised by is...
Hold on. I mean, yeah, there are some guys that don't care about the female orgasm. Some men don't even know that it exists. I feel sad for these men. It's out there, buddy. It's out there. Somewhere there's a lock made just for your key. I promise you. Sadly, some of y'all may never find it because you're too busy locked in your house watching prawn.
The women they know love these scenes.
Get out there.
In one video, a guy declares, "Now I know why women enjoy book clubs and wine," but his astonishment in itself.
Have you seen some of the ugly-ass people in polyamorous relationships? You could have two. They'll be gross looking and won't be faithful to you, but two.
Is astonishing. Like, what do you think adult women were into? Not having sex and drinking wine? Grow up. Imagine a group of men sitting around drinking wine, discussing the porn they watch. That is what you guys are essentially doing. It's just funny, okay? Like, it's funny. Are we really going to pretend that a story about a young woman getting a job milking mythical creatures to pay off her student debt is not funny? It's funny. If that
It's hilarious. That's why I laughed so hard when Seth Green had the nerd jack off a unicorn's horn on Robot Chicken way back in the day. It's hilarious.
that makes me a sexist and misogynist. You got me. To act like you are so different and above the
I bet there's one person out there who thinks a misogynist is someone who gives massages for a living.
other gooners is just, it's silly. I'm sorry, but you are no different than Joe Schmo jorking it to fat booty Latinas in Space 12. You're sitting there all high and mighty, one hand on the book, acting like you're so superior because you can perfectly envision a horse cock spinning 360 degrees in your mind.
I mean, I can now. Helicopter, helicopter. Anyway.
I'm not impressed. The scenes these men are reading, to many people, myself included, are insanely sexy. But purely in terms of the acts being described, they aren't all that lurid. And as many of the comments on these videos point out, there's much wilder stuff out there.
Yes.
For example, these men have clearly not yet discovered knotting, a popular term in romantasy right now that involves werewolves whose penises get so swollen after sex they have to stay inside their partners until the swelling subsides. Oh, honey, that's not a popular trend in romantasy. That's just a thing real dogs do. Oh, you just don't get it. You don't know what knotting is. What are these women reading, bro? What happened to that?
I feel like I've aged so much in the last half hour.
Like stupid fucking corny Hallmark thing, going home for Christmas to your hometown and falling in love with the cute farmer boy. What happened to that? We used to make fun of that. We truly did not know what we had until it was gone. Now women out here fantasizing about getting their asses clapped by demons and werewolves and goblins and ghouls.
Oh
I
my.
remember when 50 Shades of Grey came out and people were like, oh my god, this is so crazy. Women are crazy. 50 Shades of Grey looks like missionary sex through a bedsheet for the sole purpose of procreation compared to the shit the average woman on TikTok is reading. At least Christian Grey was a human man and not a fucking dog. You fantasize about dating the quiet, shy, nerdy girl. You know, she's innocent, she's
Does RedTube still exist?
pure, she's not like those other girls, like going out clubbing and hooking up with random men. No, she's at home, curled up by the fire in a blanket, reading a book, except that book is about f***ing a half man, half bull. Let me let you in on a little secret. The quiet
For those of you not watching, I've noticed that she's holding a monster in her hand at all times.
nerdy girl is way more of a freak than
put
the
it down
average
now.
hoe. Are you kidding me? It's not even close. The average hoe might have a body count of like 15 or so, but the quiet nerdy girl is fantasizing about getting back shots from Cthulhu. That is at least 100 bodies. Now listen, there's
All
nothing
those
inherently
tentacles
wrong
tickling
with
her back.
fantasizing, okay? There's nothing wrong with role play. You know,
No.
fiction is fiction, right? You know, you're not actually going to bang your stepsister, right? These women are not
Oh, no.
actually going to bang a cow. Or at
Wait,
least I hope
stepsister.
not. We all know there is a difference between fantasy and reality. Well, what happens when they try to bring fantasy into reality? Well, you get Sinners and Stardust.
What? I was just gonna say you get furries, but here we go. He's dressed as Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. Oh my god. Okay.
What in the eyes wide shut is going on here? Sinners in Stardust was supposed to be a dark romance ball for romantasy authors and fans alike. So what's the big deal? Seems
Orgy.
like a fun,
The word
sexy
is
time,
orgy.
right? Maybe, if you're a woman. If you're a man, the night may have gone a little differently for you.
Yeah.
Alright, y'all, it appears I have to make a post that I'm frankly pretty goddamn upset I have to make. This post is for the readers who don't understand consent and boundaries only. A lot of you may know my good friend Animus. He's attended a signing of mine in the past and obviously is a musical artist. This past weekend, he attended Sinners in Stardust and probably had one of the most heartbreaking experiences. So listen, he's a man, right? But do we think that means it's okay to put your hands all over him without consent?
Yes, they do.
Or to put your hands in his...
Now, I'll say this. If you're one of the people who were there as props, like one of the guys who were there with their shirts off and the heads on or whatever, and you're very clearly just there for this, like a male stripper or whatever, then okay, sure. If that's explained beforehand, but this is clearly not the case.
His waistband or down his pants or touch his
No.
Hello? Do we think it's okay to quite literally back him into a corner and touch all over him to the...
I know I shouldn't try to give them excuses, but I mean, have you seen I went to a female friend's they invited me as a joke to something like this, and oh my god.
Point that he literally cannot tell how many hands are on him and whose are whose? Do we think it's okay to send him into an actual panic attack because of this? Furthermore, do we think it's okay to interrogate him and insist he detail how he'd kidnap a woman, despite him repeatedly saying he wouldn't do that and, you know, that shit is fiction, and then attempt to follow him when he tries to get away? And if that wasn't enough, during the time of this mob, him and another author received notification that an air tag was tracking him, which showed on his person all the way to his hotel room. They molested this guy until he passed out from anxiety, and then they put a f***ing tracker on him in order to stalk him back to his hotel. This poor guy dressed like a character in one of the romantic...
I wonder where. Never mind. But it's and these are probably the same people who would make fun of a nerd at Comic-Con for repeatedly calling Harrison Ford Han Solo. I mean, come on, this is a bit much.
Books at this romantasy convention full of women. That is like throwing roast beef into a pit of wolves. Or in this case, throwing a wolf into a pit of roast beef. I remember years ago there was this thing called cosplay is not consent. Basically, it was a campaign to bring attention to the fact that people at conventions would often come up to women dressed in sexy costumes and just grope and grab them without their consent. Yeah, apparently we have to bring that back because these women did not get the memo. I've been a furry for over a decade and attended a lot of fur...
At the same time, doing cosplay as the slutty version of a male or animalistic character is not creativity. I mean, sometimes it is, but for the most part, nah.
Cons. Sure, sometimes weird shit
appreciate
happens,
it,
but honestly, I
and
can't believe
no
the
one
dark
should
romance crowd is out here acting like this.
force themselves
like
on
me
you
and my
100%,
buddies in our
but
fursuits are more respecting of consent and
creative.
bodily
You're
autonomy.
just
Get your shit together,
hot.
y'all. When the furries are
sometimes you're not
calling you
even
out
that.
for being freaks,
Yeah.
you need to reflect. Something has gone horribly wrong. Not only were the men at this book talk convention assaulted, but women were...
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not just men, but also women, for one thing. And two, I also got jokingly invited to a furry thing, like a some kind of party for furries, when I was in Hawaii. Let's just say I stopped taking party recommendations from the friend that sent me to both of these activities, and yeah, we're no longer friends. It was interesting. I'll never forget it. And thank you for allowing me to have the experience I needed to speak on topics like this, I guess. But I don't hate you. I just don't like you.
were also assaulted by women. Multiple women, including a performer, reported being...
But I will say, yes, the furries were weird. They were Like, imagine the difference between someone who follows you around creepily and someone who just says, fuck it, drops their drink, and pounces.
Being assaulted there as well. Even an author there said she was groped and dragged away from her friends and said no matter how many times she said no, quote, my words did nothing. May I remind you, this is a book convention, okay? For books. Literal BDSM clubs are more respectful than this. There needs to be more studies on how this stuff affects women's brains. Because
and also there's, I'm pretty sure there's like actual prawn conventions all across the country. I've seen them pop up here and there in other people's news stuff, like back when I used to watch Philip DeFranco and all that. But I've never heard of anything like this happening there.
Clearly, some are unable to tell the difference between fantasy and reality. Ivy Lipton, a doctoral candidate in human sexuality, actually wrote about this for EV Magazine. I don't know what a doctoral candidate in human sexuality is, but she's hot, so I trust her. Your brain on orgasms isn't neutral. Dopamine release during climax is a powerful conditioning agent. What you repeatedly fantasize about becomes necessary for arousal. If your erotic imagination centers around abuse, monstrous violence, and submission to non-human entities, your brain is reprogramming itself to crave just that. It's not empowerment, it's neuroplasticity at its darkest. Scientists, psychologists, and the general public often state that men are visual and women are emotional. When it comes to sex, men can be turned on instantly by a sexual image to spite their mood, and women need to be turned on emotionally to get in the mood. So it stands to reason that porn for men is visual and porn for women is in the mind. I'm not equating porn to smut novels, because one is a video of two people actually having real sex, and the other is, well, just words on paper.
Yeah.
I'm, however, talking about the effect on the consumer. We know watching porn is bad for the brain. That's been proven and only rejected by gooners who don't want to give it up. But is reading smut bad? You might say, duh, that's the whole point. Okay, fair enough. So let me rephrase. Is reading smut harmful? Should we shame people for things that are wrong, immoral, or harmful? In my line of work, I've been told many times that shame has no place in sex. But if I use my brain for 2 seconds, it's clear that line of thinking is nonsense. Incest should be shamed, bestiality should be shamed, pedophilia should be shamed.
Yes.
I'm not equating monster smut with these things, but there are 50 shades of gray, so to speak, along the spectrum of harmful. Conditioning your brain and body to associate pleasure with monsters, slavery, or sexual violence is not healthy. Basically, they're cooked. Like, women are cooked.
And yet all of these,
they're frying their...
all of these are main stages in this kind of, oh God, I almost said literature. Writing
brains with this stuff. It's a pipeline, right? It's like the infamous evil alt-right pipeline. You know, you start watching ShoeOnHead, owning the feminists in 2015, and then in 2025, you're hailing Hitler, right? You know, the alt-right pipeline. And this one's like, you're reading Morning Glory Milking Farm, and the next thing you know, you're Mrs. Hands, right? Just say no. Just
do you remember Mr. Hands? That's what she's referencing.
Say no to monster porn. But why is monster smut so popular with women in particular? Like, you rarely see the opposite, and when you do, it's just like a girl with cat ears and fangs, or like a 10-foot-tall dommy mommy vampire with giant titties. Yeah. Meanwhile, women are like, I want to the pollution monster from Fern Gully. So people on Reddit ask,
I mean, it does have Tim Curry's voice.
Let's see the responses. Why do you guys like monster romances? Asking for a friend. Several reasons. 1, human men are quite often terrible. Romance books with human men are already partly fantasy, but monsters just takes the fantasy bit further. 2, it's sort of human nature to imagine relationships with paranormal beings and creatures.
Is it?
We've been doing it in literature and art for centuries. It's just gotten a lot more graphic.
I mean, other than the ghost blowjob from Ghostbusters, I don't recall seeing this.
Now, lol. 3, unique body forms / parts and so many different kinds of dicks. Scary, mean, terrifying creature is sweet to her, kind, takes care of her, protects her, works hard to be gentle, etc. Maximal escapism, minimal association to real-life assholes, the patriarchy, misogyny, and oppression of women, etc., etc. Because the monsters are less dangerous.
So putting yourself in a worse situation in your mind, in your mind's eye, is escapism?
Than dating actual men.
I don't think you know what these words actually mean, person writing this.
As a fat woman of color, modern, contemporary, and even fantasy
She starts every sentence with that.
romances are hard to click to because they are almost always about thin white women and just too realistic. And romance in real life is not always attainable for fat women/women of color.
I'm sure that only has to do with one word, and it's probably not the one that you think it is.
Monster alien romance, though, my size doesn't matter, and it's easier to get into that headspace. And
I don't know, the tractor beams or whatever that they use to pull you off the ground, they have limits.
Enjoy it. I'm sick of the men on
Like
Earth
your
and looking
scale.
for some variety. Non-humans haven't betrayed and hurt me, so they feel like a safe haven, if that makes sense.
Because they don't exist. I'm sorry for your pain and your trauma. Get help. Today's sponsor is
Plus the unusual dick. Monsters have big,
Plus the
fun-shaped
unusual dick.
dicks. I love some bizarre peen. Unique.
I mean, have we all heard about Knuckles the Echidna? Look up Echidna in real life. That's horrifying.
Genitalia. I don't know what I was expecting, honestly. A lot of women's smut, especially monster smut, is about submission,
I mean, have you heard of Bad Dragon? Don't Google that.
domination, forced breeding, non-consensual consent. The women are like conquered and taken and overpowered by these monsters. And I think many of these women are reading these books containing monsters and not men because masculinity and dominance in men has been completely demonized in modern society.
Yes.
But the truth is, many women still crave it. You see, the monsters in these stories have
Very
those
true.
like dominant
Whisper more
masculine
things.
traits that women like so much, but they're not human men. They have all these traits women desire without the problematic baggage human men bring, without being the men they hate or have been told.
They're subservient toadies, but they also have all the strength and the abs and all the things, and also hooves.
To hate. It is the perfect guilt-free slop. But they don't just want a wild dominant
Monster
man.
penis.
They want to tame a wild dominant man. Similar to when a man sees an art hoe with a nose ring, you can save her from her daddy issues.
No.
You can do it. It definitely won't backfire and ruin your life. Go for it. Go talk to her. With many
Don't do it. She's joking. She's very clearly joking. Please don't do it. As someone who, oh God, the septum piercings. Nose rings are fine. It's septum theory. It's not nose ring theory. A lot of conservatives are retards.
many women, there's this desire for like danger and aggression, but also the desire to tame that danger and aggression. The desire to be that special woman who can melt his heart. You see,
They want to break you like a horse.
my dragon boyfriend could rip me to shreds and kill me instantly, but he won't because he's nice and he loves me. But honestly, at the end of the day, just like the video I made
That actually sounds really familiar. Wink.
about the anime girl in a wheelchair where men were saying, this is the average male fantasy, and a bunch of women were like, you wanna rape a disabled girl? When in reality, it was just a distilled manifestation of the average male fantasy, which is to protect and provide for a sweet woman and save her. This is like basically the flip of that, right? This is just the distilled manifestation of the female fantasy. Men are seeing this and they're saying, what do you mean you want to milk a minotaur? When in reality, it's just to have a big, strong protector and provider swoop you up and save you. And like I said in that video, they're basically both the same fantasy. This is a tale as old as time, the princess being saved from the dragon by a knight in shining armor, whether the dragon be a wheelchair or student loans, you know? But in this case, the woman is being f***ed by the dragon and the knight sits in the corner and watches or something.
Oh my God.
Maybe it's not that deep. There are some hungers better starved than fed. And maybe as women, for the sake of society, we have to starve our hunger for minotaur p***ness. Yeah, that's the moral of this video.
With the hungry
So what do you guys think?
thighs.
What
Anyway.
is your theory? Why is
Why is she
the
dressed like a
monster
cow?
romance genre so popular
Oh,
with women in
theme.
particular? And who is your weirdest? Hear me out. Be honest. I don't want to hear no Lola Bunny, okay? You all know mine already.
What the fuck?
It's not that he's a fish, okay? He has an energy, okay? He has a vibe. You know what, never mind. And I will see you guys again really soon with a new video. Bye!
Okay, so that's ShoeOnHead. Follow her on all the things, Twitter, YouTube. She's been around forever. She has evolved quite a bit. I've been watching her since her first viral clip. She's really funny. She's really well informed. She cites all of her references. Please support her at ground.news /shoe. That's like the one you wear. And yeah, follow her on all the things and tell her tell her Bear in Mind sent you. Okay, but we're going to jump into Vera Dark. Media runs Ghost of Yotei defense. It's a 10-minute video. We've seen how long I talk, so let's get it done.
There's been a major disconnect between gamers and the access media for, well, years at this point, but specifically with Yotei, since this game was unveiled. A lot of people didn't like Jin Sakai's replacement. A lot of people were upset with Erika Ishii being the lead actress, and of course,
because she's awful and an admitted Antifa member.
As time has gone on and we've gotten closer to launch and we finally gotten to that point, we saw controversy after controversy with employees and also Sucker Punch's official response. But now we are seeing the access media shill for this game as much as possible.
Okay, real quick. Ubisoft canceled an Assassin's Creed game set after the Civil War, featured a black assassin who was formerly a slave. Wouldn't it have been hilarious if it had been an Asian assassin in a game set in the Civil War? It would have been not as funny and not as ridiculous, but I mean, come on, the Chinese folk built the railroad. That's why a lot of your grandparents will call all Asian people Chinamen. It's okay. Moving on. Would fight the emerging Ku Klux Klan. Leadership canceled it concerned with U.S. political climate and Yasuke backlash. The Yasuke backlash was because you put a gigantic brute force black dude who's only written in like one or two passages in Japanese folklore as the main character for the very long, the most anticipated setting for an Assassin's Creed game. And you made it an Asian woman and a giant black dude for your main antagonist. For something set in Japan, in feudal Japan. He would have been great DLC. If it had been a man and a woman as your main characters, both Japanese clearly, and then a Yasuke DLC, even a paid Yasuke DLC, nobody would have cared. Nobody. None. If you keep heavy-handed politics out of these things, no one will complain. Same thing with this. As long as you don't put, as long as you don't do a Star Trek Discovery, and heavy-handedly make everything very clearly referencing particular things about MAGA, calling them Klansmen and Nazis, no one would care if you made this game. A few people, maybe, but no one of circumstance. There could be a cool scenario. Personally, I find the Assassin's Creed games made after the invention of guns, at least anything beyond a single shooter, a bit boring and droll. But anything set like anything BC all the way up to 1600 AD or BC and BCE and CE. Sorry, I think those are the best settings because it's when all your pointed weapons are from. But anyway, continue on with Vera.
I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, this is a game that hurts my soul a little bit because I loved Tsushima. It was absolutely phenomenal, and unfortunately, I have zero hype for this game at this point. I'm not even going to play it anytime soon. Maybe when it's in a bargain bin, I'll pick it up, or if it goes free on like PlayStation Plus.
And I was very much, I'm playing through Ghost of Tsushima right now just because I don't want to buy this game. One, it's not on PC, and I primarily play on PC, mostly because I let my PlayStation membership lapse, and I really don't want to buy it again. But I loved Ghost of Tsushima. I was really looking forward because there was supposed to be a Ghost of Tsushima 2, but then Sucker Punch and Sony America, I believe, decided to change everything, make it a female protagonist, make it a few hundred years after that story, and then kill off Jin Sakai, spoilers, in a cutscene.
I'd play it, though I have no interest in playing it right now at this point in time. And of course, there is a plethora of reasons that a lot of people have. Them replacing Jin with Atsu was a stupid move. They could have come up with more story for him, or they could have actually added a female as a protagonist, and it could have been Yuna. And basically everybody who loved the first game would have been perfectly fine.
Yes, and if they had made a Yuna spinoff of her life before or her life after, or what she was doing while she was off screen or anything like that, 100%. It would have been a lot of fun. You even could have done a Yuna and or Lady Masako in her young days or something, like the warrior lady, or I'm sure there wasn't anything like that, but. And no one really complained in the first game that Lady Masako, I think it was Lady Masako, had an implied lesbian relationship. Nobody really cared because they didn't beat you over the head with it. They just made it another tragic story in a long series of tragic stories in the original game. And the first game is phenomenal. I can't think of anything that I would change from the original game, except for the haikus I was really bad at because all mine are stupid. And I think there's one other thing that they probably could have made it something better, but I don't know. I'm playing through it again, so watch that on Saturday and Sunday mornings.
And with that, because she was so important to the first game's story. Though the problem also lied in Erika Ishii being an activist and a Antifa member, as she had called herself.
And her wife.
The Charlie Kirk situation made everything worse for this game, and this title's already been out for days and days and days. Sony and also Sucker Punch have not made any statements on the sales numbers, which definitely is a big red flag, and we've heard reports that it's not doing so good. I know that there are shills with tiny X accounts that are saying, oh, it already hit 1 million sales in a day, and those types of numbers, but those were never confirmed, and they had absolutely no sources for those pieces of information. But now we are seeing the Access media trying to shill for this game as much as possible. Now, we know with every title that releases in a series, there are journos who say it's a return to form. The most notable was Dragon Age the Veilguard. Oh, it's a return to form, and you guys are going to love it. They're doing the same thing here because BBC is saying Ghost of Yotei, a return to form for PlayStation? No, I don't think so.
Really
I don't think that this is the angle you really want to go with. But they put up this article. They were
First of all, this ain't a return to anything for PlayStation except a return to the same shit that they've done for the last couple games that they've made. I'll let her say most of it, but it's not good. The story, look, even if I'm sorry, I'm porky pigging with the stutter, but the fact that I'll just let her get into it, and then I'll say more later.
Talking about how big budget single player blockbusters from in-house studios have been the key to Sony's console success. In the PlayStation 4 days, fans got a steady stream of cinematic adventures, but that felt more like a trickle since 2023 Spider-Man 2. However, Sony's newest release, Ghost of Yotei, is a return to its proven AAA format, as if Sony ever stopped that? Sure, since 2023, we've only gotten a handful of those types of games, but at the same time, it's because they have a slew of them coming out in the future. It's because you can't release, 5 AAA big budget games from one studio a year. BBC here is brainless. I guess I have to give them a teensy tiny bit of credit because they do even talk about how Sony's faced disastrous failures like Concord, how it was taken offline just 2 weeks after its release.
Hold on. Sony has a success in the space with last year's Hell. Okay. I thought they were saying Helldivers 2 was a fail, but yeah, Concord was definitely a disaster.
And they also had canceled multiplayer projects based on God of War and The Last of Us, but really all they're doing here is trying their best to defend Sucker Punch from the evil chuds. They talk about how the death of right-wing American activist Charlie Kirk prompted a backlash within the studio.
No, not his death. People's reaction to it. People praising it. People saying he deserved it. When Charlie Kirk is literally milquetoast. He's just your standard conservative who, if you go back 20 years, would have been a standard liberal. Well, maybe not a liberal, but he would have been right there on the line. Like, he would have been one of the conservatives that you were just like, man, why are the rest of the people at the church you go to so awful? And he'd talk to you about it.
Because they fired the employee involved, and the founder, Brian Fleming, told the journalist Stephen Totillo that celebrating or making light of someone's murder is a deal breaker for us. But I think that this is so funny because they use the one part of this statement that actually evokes a sense of confidence and evokes a sense of responsibility. But if you actually get into his statement, it is absolutely, totally, and completely unprofessional. He said, Drew's no longer an employee here. I think we're aligned as a studio that celebrating or making light of someone's murder is a deal breaker for us, and we condemn that kind of in no uncertain terms. That's sort of our studio, and that's kind of where we are. That's not a statement that sounds very confident to me. You knew...
I mean, that's like going, we're kind of doing, kind of in no uncertain terms. How can you say, I think, and kind of here again, and sort of, and then say, in no uncertain terms? That's an inherent contradiction. These are all uncertain terms.
You were going into this interview, you knew you were going to be asked about it, so why didn't you have a professional response ready? I think we're aligned. That's kind of a deal breaker for us. That's sort of our studio. I would never want to be associated with Sucker Punch after a statement like that. But of course, they talk about how people were
60% of the time, it works every time.
Being a little bit mean to Sucker Punch. Going over to the next article, we have The Gamer saying 2025's biggest sequels, All-Star Women, and only one received backlash. And I think that this is so hilarious to me.
He's defeating his own argument right there. So we had a lot of games featuring female protagonists. And they all did pretty well. Except for this one. I wonder why. Could it be the open praising of a man's death?
Because they come to the conclusion that typically games with women face backlash if they have women or if they're not attractive women. They say a subset of gamers will always be mad seeing women lead video games, especially if they aren't conventionally attractive. You're talking about a game that's doing amazing right now with a bug, okay? Sure, maybe there's some sexy fan art of Hornet out there.
Of this article, they put, I can't think of the name of the game. Hollow Knight, Silksong, female protagonist, a bug with a mask on, as one of your examples. Why are you like this?
But nobody cares about females leading their games if they're well written. Sure, they have to have a really cool aesthetic to them.
Yes.
And yeah, sexy does sell, but people will still play games with a female, even if it's not the most gorgeous bombshell female character ever, if they're a good character. So you're trying to sit here and say, oh my gosh, the evil chud incel bigots attack games with women, but you are literally disproving your point because you're saying tons of other games with females this year have done amazing and only one major one that you are showing as an example has done bad. Maybe that's because people just are not happy with that game because of a dozen other problems. And
a perfect scenario for this, a perfect example for this is shit, I just had it. The game with Aloy. Oh, hold on, I'm so sorry. Horizon Zero Dawn. I didn't even get to type it in. Horizon Zero Dawn. Perfect example of this. And honestly, if Horizon Zero Dawn, the first game, had come out on a week that wasn't 3 days before what was it, Breath of the Wild, the Legend of Zelda game, and the launch of the Switch, Horizon Zero Dawn would be one of the biggest games of our generation. It would be up there with the original Last of Us. 100%. And I'm sure, hold on. How did Horizon Zero Dawn sell in comparison with the original Last of Us? Yeah. Okay, so Horizon Zero Dawn to date has sold 24.3 million units, which is fantastic because it's a great game. Like, legitimately, it's a great game. And the original Last of Us has sold 37 million copies by 2022, and I think that's when they launched it for PS5. So they're counting it up until that point. So that's including PS3 and PS4. But still, Horizon Zero Dawn is an amazing game. Aloy is a great protagonist. It's got a great story, and I love post-apocalyptic spoilers for people who give a shit. And it's not a big spoiler. It's post-apocalyptic, but it looks like the past, but it's one of those worlds where everything got reset, so you're kind of tinkering with technology in real time as your cultures are growing the same way they did in ancient times, more or less. But it's an amazing game. And in the second game, they loaded a lot of this sweet baby push type shit. And for some reason, for no reason, they made Aloy fat. Not fat, but very distinctly chubbier than someone who's constantly running around and doing all these things would likely be. It's ridiculous in the opposite direction of Abby from The Last of Us Part 2. There's no way that she would have that steady of a workout and protein supply to be as muscular as she was, the same way that Aloy, with as much activity as she does, would not be that chubby. But they did it on purpose. They purposefully, for the message, ruined their... And let's see what it ended up selling. I'm pretty sure it's at least 10 million less. How much money has Horizon Zero Dawn Part 2 made? $8.4 million units. So far, it's at 1/3, or at least as of this. Yeah. Yeah, as of about a year ago, it's at 8.4 million units. Could they have sold a lot more since then, especially since they put it on Steam? Sure. But I can almost guarantee you that it's not anything more than 11 or 12 million. A 10 million drop for a highly anticipated sequel is not good. That's practically a flop. The third game will get even worse if they continue down this path. They could redeem themselves and make the third one more like the first one, with improved graphics and gameplay, of course, but make the story a better story, as good or at least close to as good as the original. But that's what happens with a lot of these things. They purposefully sabotage all these great franchises, even ones that are already headed by women. I will never understand this. And then, even though people love the first game, men and women, there's a few people that complain, but those guys are guys that always complain. And they're like the groypers. They exist, but no one really thinks about them or cares. They only bring them up when they need to, make a point out of that particular group, or say these guys do exist. But yeah. And then the sequel was crap. Nobody bought it. And a lot of people will say, oh, that's because it came out at the same time as this other franchise. The other franchise that came out was big. Yes, it was the biggest game of probably this decade. I can't remember off the top of my head. One of those Souls-like games. But it ain't no Breath of the Wild, that's for damn sure.
This is talking only about sequels, because then they would disprove their point even more. You have games that have come out this year with some of the best female characters ever written in video games, like Expedition 33. You have Split Fiction that came out with 2 females that tons of people loved. You have games like Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which has a lead female in it who is really cool and really well written and just awesome in general. All you are doing is making yourselves look even more stupid. And this is a prime example as to why people do not trust the access media, because you will do anything and leave out any examples you can in order to prove your point. And then, of course, you get called out for it, and it tanks your reputation even more.
This is all mainstream media. It doesn't matter if you're talking about politics, video games, reviews, anything. A lot of the reviewers, and this is what Gamergate, the original one, was all about. The new one's more about Sweet Baby and doing shit like this. But it was all about honesty and integrity in the gaming space. Because a lot of these reviewers, they get invited out to do all these events. They get a bunch of free stuff and swag. But it all comes with the promise of a positive review. Not all game companies do this. Not all reviewers do this. There are honest reviewers out there, like Miss Vera here. But this was a huge thing. And it wasn't just, it was swag, and it was also, what was it, Zoe Quinn or someone had made a really crappy game, and there was alleged that the person that reviewed it, there was a sexual relationship or some such. I think it was Zoe Quinn. She was definitely from around that time and involved in this whole thing. But if I'm not, I apologize. Berate me in the comments. But that's what this is all about. It was all about honesty and integrity in the media, and then it got blown out of proportion and just became about, oh, we don't want women in video games. Not true. Not true. 100% not true. Like, and again, there's always those guys, and there's always people take trolls online far too seriously, which is why I think the way that Twitter used to be done and the way it's done now with the blue check marks, there should be different tiers of check marks. There should be verified influencer check marks, and then there should be paid for check marks. And then everyone who doesn't have either check mark, whether it be the one for celebrities or the ones with recognized influencers or whatever the hell you want to call people that stream on YouTube and Twitch and all that. Or there should be 3 tiers, the actual famous people and then there should be politicians, and then influencers or people who make their living online, whether it be YouTube, Twitch, Kick, whatever, and then the paid ones. And these are all verified actual people. That way we know that all these troll accounts are just troll accounts. Elon Musk, are you hearing me? Probably not, because no one watches these except for people I know, and then a few randos pop in and out. But that's what we should do with X. Make it happen, and that'll change a few things. Because a lot of the reason that people don't like the new checkmark system is because you can't tell the difference between, and a lot of people lost their checkmarks because they don't want to pay monthly on Twitter, so on and so forth. But yes, there should be a checkmark for celebrities, a checkmark for quote-unquote influencers, maybe a different color checkmark for politicians, or you can do them as celebrities even. I don't care. And then the paid ones, of course. But let's continue. Vera's video is almost over.
Most of Yotei didn't just face backlash because Atsu and Erika Ishii aren't conventionally attractive. It faced backlash because you replaced an amazing male character with a female, when if you wanted to do that, you could have just continued the Tsushima story with Yuna being a lead. And
again, guys, look, it's fun to make fun of ugly people or whatever, and not ugly physically, but ugly as who they are. Because Erika Ishii is a very ugly person who just happens to also be wrapped in a very ugly shell. Funny how that works sometimes. But making fun of her physical appearance just proves her point. You're defeating your own argument the same way that they defeat their own argument, by supporting a lot of the things they do.
You didn't do that, and that would have made you a hell of a lot more money. You have Erika Ishii, who is an activist and a self-proclaimed terrorist because she's said that she's part of Antifa.
But anyway, I just realized what time it was. I apologize for my long-windedness. I have to get going. Thank you all very much for stopping by. I'll pop up the RayGun Recap at some other point. It's pretty funny. It's talking about there was a Gucci shoe that came out that looked like you worked all day. In the same style as like torn jeans in the 90s and early 2000s, or even now, I guess. But I got to get out of here. I've gone a little longer than I meant to. Sorry for my long-windedness, but I very much appreciate everyone for coming by. We'll see y'all in the morning for the Friday show. Let me know if y'all like this a little bit better. A little more of a lighthearted romp today. I do plan on doing more ShoeOnHead videos in the future because she's a great creator. More people should know about her. She's hilarious. And it's just, she's doing a great series the last 3-4 years with what's wrong with men, what's wrong with women, is everyone okay, this and that, while still making it funny and well pointed. And then Vera Dark, follow her, Vera Dark Titan Media. She's doing great work out there as well. Not quite as big as Shoes, I think, got a few million. Vera's on her way up. She's almost got 200,000. But go support them. They're fantastic. Sorry, Vera, for not being able to finish your video. I really need to plan my time out a little better. But y'all have a great day, and we'll see y'all in the morning here on The Associated Guess.